Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World, and I wanted to take a second to talk about um, a couple of issues that are on my mind today. Um, First, I want to talk about an article that I just wrote about the rapper Lil Boosie. Now, Lil Boosie has been making some statements that really take him off the trajectory of what you typically expect a rapper to talk about. Boosie has been, I think, productively critical about the state of the black community. He's mentioned the importance of emphasizing education. He's talked about some of his concerns about violence in the black community and us doing things to hurt each other. And now his critique and his analysis is obviously not as refined as it would be if he were doing this for a living. But I appreciated what he was trying to do. Because I think that sometimes we forget that rappers in many cases are not social commentarians by trade. They Some of them didn't go to college. A lot of them, and just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're not educated. But a lot of these brothers, unfortunately, are very well educated in the booth, but not as well educated in other areas. But if you think about it, I mean, imagine how stupid I would sound if I tried to go and make a hip hop album. I would probably sound like a complete idiot. So. My position on Lil Boosie and what he had to say is not to say that I agree with everything he said. It's not to say that everything he said was on point. My point is that I congratulate this brother because he is seeking to grow. It's not about where you are in life. That matters far less than where you're going. It's where you're going that will determine where you end up. To give you a good analogy, it's like if I tell you I'm in my house right now, but I'm going to go 100 miles an hour to the state of Ohio. Well, you shouldn't pay attention to where I am right now because that's not going to matter in about 5 minutes because I'm going to be speeding down the highway, and in about 2 or 3 hours I'm going to be in Ohio. And so that's what I see with Boosie. It's not so much what he is that matters, it's what he's becoming. It's not about what a seed looks like when it's first planted, it's what you know that seed is going to look like when it grows into a tree. So that's my first point on Lil Boosie. I applaud him for what he's doing, and I think that he's good. He should keep trying. I'm actually going to reach out to Boosie. In fact, my email address is boyce@boycewatkins.com. If you happen to know him or know people that are connected with him, feel free to share that information. I've counsel some other artists behind the scenes, and it's really helped them to use their platforms in the way that they intend, because scholars and rappers and preachers pretty much have the same job. We all have information, or we all have ideas in our minds, and we share them with our audience in our own way. The difference, though, is that in the black community, rappers, athletes, and pastors tend to have a bigger audience than, say, professors. Other than a guy like, say, a Cornell West or Michael Eric Dyson, and even those guys have to go pretty much to white liberals to really get their biggest platforms. I have 12,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel, and I have about 200 and something thousand subscribers that follow all of our bloggers at Your Black World. But I don't have the platform a Little Boosie has. So the fact that he's lending his platform to ideas that are going to help the people that he cares about, I think is very, very important. I mean, critically important to our community. And it's something that we should support, even if he's not doing it quite right. So with that being said, one thought that I had is that, I observe some of these celebrities who have YouTube channels and Facebook pages and Twitter feeds with literally millions of people. 10, 15, 20 million, 30 million people, some of them. And I look at the content that they put on those pages, and they don't understand that's your classroom. You're teaching when you do this. And the content that they share is usually pretty meaningless. It's like maybe they'll share a joke, or they'll share a video of two Negroes fighting, or video of somebody singing, dancing, rapping, acting, blinging, balling, flossing, shining, stunting, or just doing some other stereotypical black people stuff. Right? And it's okay to do all that to a point. Like, it's okay to have fun. It's okay to share jokes. I mean, life is nothing if you can't laugh and if you can't have fun. But understand this. Life is not always supposed to be about fun all the time. You're not supposed to spend your life in an empty, meaningless quest to look for the next party. That's pretty much a recipe for self-destruction, a lack of productivity, and ultimately depression. Because eventually that dopamine you receive from going to the next party or sharing the next joke or doing the next fun thing, eventually it starts to wear down, and ultimately you end up realizing that your life is meaningless, that all you have is maybe a little bit of money, a little bit of fun, and that's it. And the whole time the white man is kicking you in the ass because you didn't spend your time getting educated and learning how to survive in this world. So here's what we have to understand. Black people are at war. And my good friend Etan Thomas, a former NBA player who's also using his platform for great things to talk about fatherhood, he made this point, and I love the fact that he made it. He said the worst thing about being in a war, though the worst war to be in is one where you don't even realize you're at war. You don't even realize somebody's declared war on your dumb ass, and you up here thinking that everything's good. And I didn't mean to cuss. Sometimes I cuss. The cat's out of the bag. I got it from my daddy. My daddy cussed like a sailor. But the point is that we have to realize that we are at war, and the weapon of choice is education. So when you leave your people misinformed, uninformed, or not fully developed intellectually or in terms of skill, then you are dooming them to failure. You do not love black people if all you do is promote ignorance to black people. If that's all you do, if all you're doing is trying to get black people to smoke and drink and kill and chill and sit around and do nothing and engage in meaningless, excessive materialism, trying to buy these things that white folks own that they use to control us like little puppets, if that's what you're doing, if you're feeding black people into slavery, then you don't love black people. You are an enemy to your race. Understand that you are the enemy. So my argument is that celebrities out here who have these big, massive Facebook pages, that is your classroom. That is your opportunity to influence the minds of millions of people. In the age of information, there is no excuse for being ignorant. Information and knowledge is right around you. To have access to the internet and not use it to obtain knowledge, that's like living with the smartest person in the world and not asking him any questions. That means that you have chosen to be willfully and deliberately ignorant, and what happens is you see that the translation of this willful ignorance in the fact that we're always losing. Many of us end up at the bottom of the barrel. Many of us always end up in desperate situations, one struggle after another, one easily avoidable tragedy after another, because we chose to avoid the information that is going to give us the education and information that will empower us. We end up losing our jobs and can't pay our bills because we never took the time to learn how to start our own business or manage our money. We end up in one tragedy after another with the criminal justice system because we never took the time to learn how the law works or to learn how to do things to avoid situations that are going to get you into problems that you don't want to have to deal with. Now, I'm not saying that white people don't have their foot on our neck. I'm not saying racism is not accountable for this. We know racism is accountable, but guess what? I could go out right now and tell white people the same thing I'm telling you and ask them to stop being racist, and most of them are not going to listen to me. The only people that might listen to me is you. So I'm talking to you. Understand, it's one thing to be on the losing team. It's one thing to have the kind of struggle that we have as a community. It's another thing to kind of lay down and let people walk all over you. When you choose not to be educated, when you choose not to learn the things that you need to know in order to be successful, when you choose not to teach those things to your children, you are condemning yourself to various forms of slavery. And so the reason I applaud Lil Boosie is because he's seeking to gain his liberation. He might not be free yet. He might have a long way to go, but at least he is trying. He's seeking to grow. Brothers, you don't have to be perfect on the first day on the job. The key is that you step out there and you start that work. Start putting in that work. Like if you're overweight and you weigh 400 pounds, you're not going to be an Olympic athlete on the first day out. But you start that little path and you take those baby steps until eventually over time you start to see yourself shape into the person that you want to be. So Lil Boosie, I applaud you for what you're doing on this. In terms of the other celebs that have these millions and millions of YouTube followers and Facebook fans, stop just using your page to share jokes and funny pictures and stupid ass videos and all this other crap that people pass around the internet. It's all good. I share some of that too. A lot of it I think is very, very funny, but life is not just a game. Life is not just one big party. Sometimes you got to be serious because, again, The joke is, if you think that life is a big joke, then one day you're gonna wake up and find out the joke is on your black ass. That these white folks out here have it out for you. There are bigots in this world. They want to see you dead. They don't want to see you have a job. They don't want to see you successful. They don't want to see you informed. They don't want to see you vote. They don't even want to see you free. They want you in prison, or they want you in a casket. And if you are not educated, if you do not empower and educate your people that follow you to be prepared to deal with these ills that are designed to destroy us, then you're condemning them to a slow and painful death. So that's all I want to say. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World. If you want to read the article that I wrote about Lil Boosie, go to yourblackworld.net. Just search for my name, or search for Lil Boosie. You'll find it up there, and you can check out what I had to say on that. Until we meet again, stay strong, be blessed, and be educated. I am gone. Peace.